In the early hours of February 17, 2026, Buckingham Palace was filled with tension as Prince William, joined by Princess Anne and the Duchess of Edinburgh, faced the press with a serious tone that echoed through the grand halls. He revealed that the marriage settlement between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, signed just 2 days earlier on February 15th, was now officially sealed and final. This announcement went far beyond paperwork or tradition. It symbolized a decision that would reshape royal history and impact the family at its very core. The palace had made its move, staying true to its centuries-old duty to protect the royal line, maintain the institution's stability, and secure the family's future for generations to come. The deal was done. There was no turning back. Prince William's statement signaled the end of a quiet yet fierce internal struggle that had been unfolding behind the palace walls for years, while the world watched from the sidelines. Getting to this moment hadn't been easy or smooth. The real turning point came on February 3, 2026, when Princess Anne brought forward the now infamous Markle withdrawal file during an emergency meeting with King Charles and Prince William at Windsor Castle. What the file contained sent shockwaves through the royal circle. It detailed serious protocol violations. Reports revealed that Archie, age 7, and Lilibet, age 5, had been pulled from their California schools without prior notice, setting off a chain reaction inside the palace. Medical appointments had been postponed, and contact with royal child welfare officers was reportedly cut off. Meghan had also approved the closure of a $6.3 million education trust in the United Kingdom, funds originally meant to support the children's long-term well-being. The evidence, according to insiders, painted a picture of a clear and deliberate withdrawal, a steady series of decisions that raised serious concern for the children's stability and future. By the very next day, February 4, 2026, the Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, received official clearance to activate the Royal Emergency Guardianship Protocol, a rarely used legal process that hadn't been invoked since the post-war succession challenges of the 1950s. Then, on February 5, 2026, Prince William took another unprecedented step by enforcing Appendix 4 of the Royal Succession Stabilization Act, a historic clause first introduced during the Edward VII abdication era. This clause gave the Crown temporary custodial authority over royal minors in cases where their heritage, safety, or future identity might be at risk. It was a dramatic and controversial move that underscored just how serious the palace considered the situation. Notably, Meghan Markle did not appear at any of these proceedings, and her legal representatives filed no formal objections. Sources close to palace staff revealed that her silence spoke volumes, more powerful than any courtroom argument could have been. Finally, on February 15, 2026, under tight legal supervision at the Royal Family Court of Chancery, an extensive settlement was signed. It covered every financial and royal aspect of the separation, from the division of shared estates, including properties in Montecito and Norfolk, to investments and obligations linked to Archewell. The finalized agreement granted the Crown permanent legal guardianship of Archie and Lilibet, clearly defining the financial responsibilities of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. It laid out every key detail: child support terms, education funding, management of personal and premarital assets, as well as ownership rights over heirlooms, inheritances, and intellectual property. It even detailed where each party would live during the transition, expected standards for public appearances, and strict confidentiality clauses backed by non-disparagement terms and financial penalties for any violations. Though the legal terms were firm and precise, insiders at the palace stressed that the emotional weight of this decision would linger for a long time. A close source to Queen Camilla, who deliberately stayed away from the public eye, revealed that while she felt deep sadness about the entire ordeal, there was also quiet relief that it was finally resolved. In the weeks leading up to the signing, Prince Harry was described by those around him as emotionally torn, caught between guilt, confusion, and long moments of retreat while being apart from Meghan in the UK. He reportedly shifted back and forth between defiance and acceptance, ultimately agreeing to the Crown's constitutional stance after his request for temporary guardianship was denied due to uncertainties surrounding his living situation and income stability. Meanwhile, Princess Catherine was photographed on February 10th, leaving St. George's Chapel, holding hands with Lilibet and Princess Charlotte, a subtle yet powerful image that many saw as a graceful symbol of change within the royal family. The uncaptioned photograph caused a wave of emotion across the world. People flooded social media with messages of empathy and respect, and major outlets praised it as the moment when grace finally outshone chaos. After the standard 48-hour constitutional waiting period, the official release of the settlement was made public. Exactly at 9 a.m. on February 17th, Buckingham Palace shared it through its official channel, and within minutes, headlines on both sides of the Atlantic captured the magnitude of what had just unfolded. The Times reported that royal guardianship had confirmed Meghan's formal withdrawal of parental authority under the new agreement. The Telegraph described it as the resolution of a royal family crisis under long-standing tradition, and the New York Post called it the final chapter of a years-long saga. But hidden within the intricate language of the 17-clause agreement, quiet tensions still remained. Meghan reportedly declined to sign Clause 11, the section that permanently restricted the commercial use of the children's names and likenesses. Palace sources later confirmed that this clause was currently suspended and awaiting further review, keeping one of the most delicate issues unresolved. While Prince William publicly led the announcement with his usual composure, those behind the scenes said it was Princess Anne who truly shaped the tone of the entire process. Her private words to senior royal aides, later leaked anonymously, reflected the heart of the institution. "We did not ask for this battle, but once it put the children at risk, it became our duty to face it." The world watched every moment unfold in real time, and one thing became crystal clear. This wasn't a simple separation, it was a full royal reset, signed, sealed, and stamped with sovereign authority. The confidential settlement, drafted by a joint team of Crown legal advisors, Privy Council members, and top family law specialists, stretched across 94 pages and 6 annexes. It used a rare legal structure known internally as a dual-frame writ, a complex system separating standard civil law from Crown fiduciary protections, a mechanism that hadn't been activated since the time of Edward III's abdication arrangements. At the heart of this document was Clause 14C, titled Media Representation and Identity Licensing. This rule strictly prohibited either party from using the likeness, name, voice, or image of Archie or Lilibet in any monetized format, including films, broadcasts, merchandise, artificial intelligence designs, or dramatized portrayals, without direct written approval from the Office of Royal Protections. The clause was absolute, international, and fully enforceable through global copyright organizations. However, However, Meghan's hesitation to sign Clause 14C quickly became the breaking point that shook the entire deal. According to insiders at Gray's Inn, she wanted to retain limited brand rights for future creative projects, specifically regarding Lilibet's image, which had been part of early concept art for a proposed children's book project tentatively titled Lely. Royal advisors, however, viewed this move as a challenge to the spirit of the settlement. They clarified that Clause 14C wasn't about control or profit. It was meant to safeguard the children's emotional well-being and personal identity from commercial exposure. Dame Rosalind Hurst, the former chair of Crown Family Law, explained it clearly. The monarchy understands all too well the harm that comes when a child's identity is treated like intellectual property. Her words highlighted why the agreement was built with such precision and caution. Clause 7, titled Heritage Access, strictly limits any attempt by Meghan or her representatives to enter royal estates, burial sites, or crown-funded institutions under claims of ancestry, heritage, or symbolic continuation. A senior Whitehall archivist privately described this as the Heritage Restriction Clause, emphasizing that it not only blocks access, but also prevents any effort to reinterpret or influence royal legacy, charity dedications, or commemorative events. Appendix 3, known as the Custodial Compensation Framework, outlined the Crown's full financial responsibility for all child-related needs, education, healthcare, and housing, so long as Archie and Lilibet live full-time within UK-approved residences or institutions under royal guardianship guidelines. Properties in California or connected affiliates were specifically excluded from eligibility. Critics argued that this provision placed Prince Harry in an impossible position, having to choose between staying in California without official financial support or relocating under Crown supervision to maintain institutional coverage. Palace sources, however, insisted the measure was purely protective, designed to shield the family from unverified overseas involvement or potential misuse of royal identity in foreign media. Adding to the safeguards, Appendix 4 required biometric registration of the children's official images within a secured digital vault at Sandringham Archives. This advanced measure was implemented to ensure that their likeness could never be misused in advertising, entertainment, or artificial intelligence training programs, marking one of the most forward-thinking child protection clauses ever written into royal law. Reports indicate that this particular clause was sparked by growing speculation that a few unreleased childhood photos had been shared without authorization to entertainment companies in Hollywood. To counter that risk, the settlement introduced sweeping financial and legal revisions that changed everything. It retroactively canceled prior financial allowances granted to Prince Harry and Meghan since 2020, reclassifying them as repayable amounts under the Royal Privilege Reimbursement Statute. Even past expenses, like security costs, property upgrades at Frogmore Cottage, and deferred legal payments, were formally labeled as institutional reimbursements, meaning they now fell under Crown review. Should Meghan attempt to dispute these terms through international courts, the palace could invoke Writ Z, a diplomatic legal mechanism that allows the Crown to file reputation protection claims abroad. This move showed just how far the monarchy was prepared to go to safeguard its image and legacy worldwide. Another key feature, Section 12, introduced what's been called the narrative freeze provision. This clause restricts any interviews, documentaries, memoirs, or podcast appearances that mention private details about the children's early years, their birth, christening, or personal family moments without formal palace approval. Any violation could result in immediate injunctions and financial holds on related agents, publishers, or production teams. Insiders believe this measure was a direct reaction to Meghan's unreleased memoir, Mother of Grace, which apparently included excerpts describing her personal perspective on motherhood within the royal setting. Sources close to streaming executives have since confirmed that the project has been quietly shelved. Witnesses present during Prince Harry's February 15th signing described him as deeply subdued, silent, composed, yet visibly distant as he finalized what many now call one of the most defining documents in modern royal history. As Prince Harry was handed the pen to sign the section confirming he would no longer serve as the primary decision-maker for his children's schooling, healthcare, or place of residence, witnesses say he quietly murmured, "If this protects them, then I'll fade into the background of the paperwork." Those words, barely audible in the quiet corridors of the royal family court, captured the heartbreaking tone behind the February 15th settlement. At its core, the monarchy had come to an unmistakable decision. The Markle brand wasn't seen merely as a public relations concern. It had become a strategic risk to the continuity of the royal institution itself. That perception, written in careful legal phrasing, marked the end of a deeply turbulent chapter for the royal family. When the clock struck midnight on that decisive day, whispers about a hidden clause, Clause 7, began spreading through Britain's legal and royal circles, leaving many stunned. To the public, the clause appeared cryptic and insignificant, but once details began to surface, it became clear that Clause 7 was among the most far-reaching legal tools ever included in a royal marriage agreement. Documents partially unsealed during a private inquiry led by the Lord Chancellor's office revealed an astonishing detail. Back in 2018, Meghan Markle had added a clause within her marriage contract that granted her exclusive creative rights to Prince Harry's intellectual materials, his voice recordings, unpublished writings, and future narrative works that referenced their shared life from 2016 onward. This provision also included rights linked to their public transition from royal duties in 2020, commonly known as the Sussex departure. Legal experts across London described the clause as bold, meticulously crafted, and unlike anything previously seen in royal legal history. Sir Malcolm Weatherby, a former Queen's Counsel, remarked, "It's the most assertive narrative control clause I've ever encountered in any agreement involving public figures." His statement sent ripples through both legal and royal circles. By signing that clause, Prince Harry had effectively given up creative control over his own story, past, present, and future, in the hope of preserving marital peace and emotional balance. The revelation hit Buckingham Palace and major media networks like a thunderclap. Suddenly, joint ventures that were once viewed as shared, Netflix productions, Spotify collaborations, and planned book releases, were being reinterpreted as projects directed solely under Meghan's creative authority. The Sussex narrative was no longer seen as a partnership. It was now guided entirely through her lens. Lady Louise Windsor, who helped compile the internal Privy Council investigative report, later revealed in private testimony that this controversial clause had never been disclosed to senior royals. Neither then Prince Charles nor the late Queen Elizabeth II had been informed of its existence during the wedding proceedings. According to her account, if such details had been known at the time, it's doubtful the formal royal recognition of the Sussex union would have gone forward in its original form. Adding to the complexity, Meghan had stipulated that all creative or narrative-related legal matters fall under U.S. jurisdiction, not British law, a move that left palace legal teams scrambling to understand how to regain oversight of royal historical materials tied to the Sussexes' story. For centuries, royal historians had worked within a tightly managed system, drawing only from verified memoirs, archived letters, and officially sanctioned documents stored within the Windsor collection. This unexpected shift of narrative control across international lines not only challenged tradition, but also signaled a historic change in how royal storytelling could be owned and managed moving forward. If Meghan's interpretation of Clause 7 were ever upheld in court, it could mean that entire parts of Prince Harry's personal story, from his childhood experiences to his military years and reflections on his late mother, Princess Diana, might be adapted or published commercially without his direct involvement. On paper, the legal wording granting exclusive narrative licensing rights might sound technical, but its implications were enormous. By agreeing to that clause, Harry had, in effect, given Meghan full creative authority, allowing her to act as his publisher, producer, and biographer, all without needing his consent for future projects. Palace insiders later revealed that when Prince William read through the unsealed documents, he was deeply affected. One close source described his reaction as more than disappointment. It was disbelief that such a detailed and deliberate clause could exist within a family agreement, describing it as strategic, intentional, and locked-in legal language. Even Queen Camilla, who had long avoided public comment on the Sussexes' situation, reportedly broke her silence with a single line that left royal staff speechless. Upon learning the full scope of Clause 7, she allegedly said, "She wanted his story, not the man." The fallout wasn't just emotional, it was institutional. Buckingham Palace's communications division, already under strain managing public perception around the Sussexes, now faced an unsettling new challenge. Any future documentaries, podcasts, or dramatized projects about Harry's life could potentially fall under Meghan's creative authority. As concerns spread across official circles, trust within the royal household began to fracture. Conservative MP Alden Brockhurst called for an emergency parliamentary review, declaring that the Crown must never again be left vulnerable to offshore legal terms drafted beyond British jurisdiction. What made the crisis even more alarming was Harry's continued silence. He neither denied nor clarified the reports. His absence from the discussion became his own quiet statement, leaving both the public and the palace to wonder what his next move would be. Up to this point, Prince Harry had not rejected or attempted to withdraw from Clause 7. Sources from Clarence House suggested he might not have fully understood the depth of what he had agreed to at the time. He was grieving, deeply emotional, and, according to one senior aide, he signed away the very thing his mother always fought for: his children's independence. Those words echoed across royal circles with quiet shock. Meanwhile, Meghan's legal representatives released a bold statement on February 16th, asserting that the contract had been mutually approved, mutually signed, and entirely enforceable, warning that any attempt to alter or cancel it would breach both U.S. civil law and recognized marital autonomy agreements. The timing of this public clarification was no coincidence. It came just as Meghan's upcoming memoir, reportedly titled Despair's Crown, was preparing for an April release. If Clause 7 remained untouched, the book could include powerful revelations, unpublished royal dialogues, private emotional accounts, and never-before-seen reflections related to the royal family's most sensitive periods, including the days surrounding Queen Elizabeth II's funeral arrangements. These potential disclosures sparked concern across the palace, raising questions about privacy, tradition, and control of royal narratives. Princess Anne, said to be furious during a closed-door meeting of the Privy Council, called for immediate action,
reportedly describing Harry's signature as a direct breach of institutional trust. Lady Louise Windsor supported her aunt's stance, cautioning that inaction could lead to the Windsor legacy being turned into a serialized commercial product, stripped of its dignity and purpose. But behind those words, a deeper sentiment was taking root. According to insiders, the next move from the royal family would not be through the courts. It would be personal, deliberate, and unmistakably public. For them, this was no longer just about contracts or clauses. It had become about reclaiming identity, pride, and the integrity of the royal story itself.
By February 16, 2026, the full extent of Prince Harry and Meghan's financial troubles had become impossible to ignore. For months, their carefully polished social media appearances and new business ventures had painted a picture of stability, but behind the scenes, the numbers told a very different story. Property records from Montecito revealed that their estate was facing possible foreclosure, tied to a $9.4 million bridge loan arranged in mid-2025 through a Delaware-based holding company later linked to a dissolved international media group. The loan reportedly came with unusually high interest terms and strict repayment clauses that left little room for negotiation. If even one payment was missed, immediate liens could be triggered on the property. In a discreet move, Meghan reportedly reached out to a boutique Manhattan lender that specialized in restructuring celebrity debt portfolios, hoping to refinance under better terms. However, financial auditors reviewing the paperwork raised concerns about certain Archewell Foundation expenditures, specifically those involving public relations and security reimbursements that appeared inconsistent with standard charitable reporting. Within just 3 days, the refinancing deal was called off, leaving the family in a tightening financial corner. The shift in public perception was swift and dramatic. What once seemed like clever reinvention was now being viewed by media analysts as poor financial management. Even subtle lifestyle changes began drawing attention. Archie and Lilibet were quietly transferred from a high-end private school in Brentwood to a smaller, more affordable Montessori-style program. Meghan's fashion choices evolved too. Her stylists described the change as a move toward eco-conscious simplicity, but the press read it as a clear indicator of financial strain. The couple's planned follow-up Netflix documentary, centered on Meghan's personal growth journey and Harry's reflections on family heritage, was quietly canceled due to low viewer engagement and growing reputational concerns. The cancellation also halted a 5-project deal once valued at over $40 million, marking a major setback for their production brand. According to Palace insiders, King Charles and Prince William had seen this moment coming. As early as January 20th, their advisors had already launched a media containment strategy after U.S. financial disclosures linked to Archewell's partner organizations raised compliance concerns. Acting swiftly, the Crown took preventive action, legally restricting Prince Harry from using royal properties such as Highgrove House or Sandringham, as well as any official royal trademarks in upcoming media productions, a move never before executed in modern royal history. Princess Anne, ever poised and deliberate, delivered a subtle yet pointed statement during her speech at the Royal Maritime College, saying, "Clarity of purpose preserves legacy. Privilege must never replace accountability." It was a quiet but unmistakable message, both ethical and institutional, signaling that the monarchy was drawing a firm boundary. Meanwhile, Meghan's legal representatives filed a confidential motion in California, reportedly seeking protective financial measures that would shield personal assets from creditor claims. However, such filings could also trigger mandatory financial transparency, which might expose details about Archewell's internal operations. Amid all of this, Prince Harry appeared increasingly isolated, stuck between royal restrictions and mounting financial uncertainty. Friends described him as withdrawn, with an uncharacteristically unpolished public appearance and occasional confusion in interviews. Palace insiders shared that Prince Harry had quietly reopened private communication channels with Prince Edward, not as a royal emissary, but as a brother searching for understanding and a sense of grounding. Some reports even suggested that Harry had begun asking difficult questions about his children's royal status and what legal safeguards were now in place for their future within the Windsor framework. By mid-February, Montecito no longer felt like a retreat. It had turned into a symbol of financial strain and misplaced trust. Meghan withdrew from all scheduled media appearances, and her PR team stopped answering press inquiries altogether. Instead, a short message was posted on February 15th about rising again through grace and determination, which drew noticeably less engagement than her earlier updates. While uncertainty surrounded the Sussexes, the rest of the royal family pressed on with steady resolve. Prince William continued his public duties, visiting youth centers in Kent to reinforce a message of responsibility and compassion. Princess Catherine, calm yet strong, inaugurated a new cancer recovery center in Nottingham, her quiet presence reflecting the monarchy's enduring focus on service and stability, even as personal storms brewed behind palace gates. Inside Buckingham Palace, the royal institution was already evolving. Every speech, every engagement, and every policy decision was carefully aligned with a renewed sense of purpose, duty, continuity, and preservation. Those close to the palace described this new direction as a strategic reset, one that prioritized long-term stability over individual ambition or external influence. The monarchy, at its heart, functioned as a living legacy, an entity built on history, tradition, and unbroken protocol. And in 2026, it made one message clear to the world: the endurance of the crown would always rise above personal drama, public criticism, or fleeting controversy. Prince Harry and Meghan, once celebrated across the globe as symbols of modern reinvention and independence, now found themselves standing far beyond the palace gates, isolated not just from the royal family, but increasingly distant from the public that once admired them. Invitations that once flooded in began to disappear. Polite gestures turned to silence, and the media outlets that had once praised their every move now examined them with relentless attention. Their challenges were no longer purely financial. They had become reputational. The carefully built image of strength and glamour that once surrounded them was beginning to fade, replaced by questions, doubt, and a sense of disillusionment. By February 17, 2026, the British Royal Legal Council had completed a full review of the couple's 2018 marriage contract, uncovering details that reignited the entire royal debate. At the center of the controversy was one extraordinary detail: page 14, clause 7. A section so broad in scope that it redefined what control over personal narrative and creative rights could mean inside a royal context.
The clause reportedly gave Meghan complete editorial and creative authority over Harry's likeness, recorded voice, written correspondence, unpublished reflections, and even elements of his digital presence. It also extended to his future storytelling rights and public image management, effectively giving her leadership in how their shared narrative could be represented across media formats. For years, many junior palace aides had dismissed Clause 7 as a standard American intellectual property safeguard, often found in celebrity contracts. But under the sharp and methodical review of Lady Louise Windsor, its real implications were finally understood. What appeared to be routine legal language was, in truth, a remarkably sophisticated structure, one capable of shaping not just a public figure's past image, but also directing his future portrayal with striking precision.
Within the palace, it was quietly described as the clause that rewrote the royal rulebook. Between 2022 and 2025, Meghan's legal team had reportedly used Clause 7 to block or delay several Windsor-related media projects, each one quietly halted before reaching the public. A documentary narrated by one of Harry's longtime friends was suddenly shelved without explanation. A mental health campaign under the Windsor Foundation was discontinued before launch, and even a children's book featuring a red-haired prince character, loosely inspired by royal imagery, was pulled from production. For Prince Harry, the clause hovered over his creative and professional freedom like a heavy legal shadow. He could not give interviews, publish memoirs, or even discuss personal reflections about his life journey without Meghan's formal written approval. In practice, she had gained near total control over how his public image and story could be told, both personally and professionally. When the existence and scope of Clause 7 became public, it sent waves of disbelief through Buckingham Palace. During a private meeting at Clarence House, Princess Anne was said to have reacted with sharp disapproval, reportedly slamming the document on the table and declaring, "This isn't a marriage, it's a contract of control." Her words captured the sense of frustration and disbelief rippling through the royal circle. Supporters of Meghan's narrative, however, defended the clause, describing it as a protective measure meant to safeguard Harry from potential media exploitation and narrative distortion. Yet, as analysts reviewed its repeated enforcement, a clear pattern began to surface, one that revealed a growing imbalance of influence and authority between the two parties. Inside the palace, Clause 7 had come to represent something far larger than a single legal paragraph. It was viewed as the symbol of how modern fame, legal power, and personal relationships could collide, and how even the most private aspects of royal life could be rewritten through the fine print of a contract. Meghan maintained full commercial oversight of their shared media rights, routed through Archwell's complex LLC structure and managed by a Delaware-registered holding company called Echo Royal Media. Hidden within Clause 7 was another startling detail: an automatic renewal every 18 months. Prince Harry had reportedly missed the July 2023 renewal deadline, which meant the clause continued indefinitely, effectively binding him to a legal framework he could no longer alter. Under growing emotional strain from personal loss, fatherhood challenges, and constant public attention, his state of mind had begun to visibly decline. In a quiet attempt to regain control, his legal representatives filed motions in California requesting declaratory relief from the agreement. The court, however, issued a firm response, reminding him that he had willingly signed, received benefits under the terms, and therefore could not retroactively claim misunderstanding or cancel the arrangement on his own authority. Behind palace walls, tensions reportedly erupted. Between the brothers, Prince William, known for his restraint, confronted Harry with a moment of raw honesty that insiders later described as painful but necessary. According to one account, he told him directly, "You agreed to this, you gave away your story, and now you expect the crown to undo it for you." The words were pointed and difficult, but they reflected the gravity of the situation. Harry's personal and legal choices had opened a vulnerability not just for himself, but for the institution as a whole, exposing the monarchy to unprecedented reputational risk. Meanwhile, Meghan's PR team moved swiftly, shaping a counter-narrative across selected media platforms. Their messaging was polished and confident, aimed at reframing the entire debate from one of control to one of collaboration, even as questions continued to swirl around who truly held the pen in shaping Harry's story. Supporters of Meghan's narrative pointed to early 2021 documentary segments where Prince Harry appeared on camera reading prepared lines, scripts that, as later confirmed, had been crafted by professional staff. Behind the polished production and refined storytelling, every creative decision, edit, and approval reportedly passed directly through Meghan's oversight. When Netflix legal teams eventually reviewed the now infamous Clause 7, they were said to be taken aback by its reach. It explained why Harry's on-screen moments had always been scripted and closely edited. The clause didn't just manage his past media, it legally limited his ability to speak freely about his own future experiences until the clause could be formally challenged in court. Then, on February 18th, Princess Anne made a historic administrative move. She issued an official directive halting all institutional collaborations involving Harry's likeness, image, or personal narrative until Clause 7 could be legally reviewed and potentially overturned. It was an extraordinary step, marking the first time in modern royal history that a direct son of the crown was deemed institutionally restricted, not because of personal scandal or misconduct, but due to the binding scope of a private contract. The move sent shockwaves through both legal and royal circles. Meghan's approach, while controversial, had proven undeniably strategic. She didn't just manage the story, she managed the storyteller. Harry's continued silence, many realized, wasn't an act of avoidance. It was the direct result of a meticulously structured legal framework that left him unable to speak publicly without written authorization. And just as the dust began to settle, another revelation emerged. A leaked palace dossier dated February 19th introduced a stunning twist, one that referenced a contingent custodial jurisdiction clause. The document suggested that Archie and Lilibet had not yet been formally listed in the official Windsor genealogical registry, raising urgent questions about lineage recognition and future royal documentation. The implications, both legal and symbolic, were staggering. Discrepancies soon surfaced in the official paperwork, ranging from birth registrations to travel authorizations and biometric data. Within hours, the Lord Chamberlain's office released an official addendum confirming that Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana would no longer hold any honorary profiles, ceremonial affiliations, or institutional protections connected to the British Crown. The announcement framed the decision as a matter of legal clarity and national interest, emphasizing that it was based on ethical and procedural consistency rather than emotion. It also confirmed a permanent separation from the royal family's dynastic records, a move that signaled the monarchy's intent to finalize its stance once and for all. Public reaction was swift and divided. Meghan's video message, posted on February 18th, featured a carefully staged setting, dim lighting, elegant decor, and a reflective tone as she spoke about the pain of being unheard. The clip went viral, attracting millions of views, but also a surge of online criticism and parody. The hashtag #GhostRoyals began trending across Europe and North America, becoming a digital symbol of public skepticism toward her message. Back in Montecito, the reaction was immediate. Emergency meetings were reportedly held with U.S. legal representatives, crisis management consultants, and media executives from their major partnerships. The atmosphere, according to insiders, was one of controlled panic as strategies were discussed to stabilize public perception and manage potential contract implications. Meanwhile, the palace had already moved well beyond media strategy. Princess Anne and Lady Louise Windsor, working closely with royal archivists and biometric specialists, oversaw the administrative process of removing the children's honorary profiles from Commonwealth registries. All ceremonial affiliations, memorabilia, and brand agreements tied to Archie and Lilibet were formally rescinded, completely erasing their symbolic connection to the British monarchy. Prince Harry, meanwhile, became noticeably withdrawn. Friends described him as distant, with an unshaven look and a reluctance to appear publicly or engage with royal correspondence. In a quiet move, he requested a private meeting with Prince William, not to reconcile, but to ensure the guardianship transition for his children was secure and properly managed. Behind the scenes, concern was growing over possible relocation plans involving Meghan, which, under newly revised royal protection protocols, were now categorized as potential custodial irregularities, prompting immediate legal attention. Then came the defining moment. On February 20th, Princess Catherine made an unexpected public appearance at a pediatric community center in West London. Dressed in a muted navy coat adorned with a rose gold shield-shaped brooch, she was embodying the activation of Windsor Protection Protocol 12, a direct signal confirming the formal removal of Archie and Lilibet's royal status. When reporters asked about the children's future, Catherine responded with calm precision. Every child deserves stability, honesty, and protection from exploitation. The Crown stands prepared to ensure that when needed. Her words resonated across the nation. Queen Camilla's silence throughout the ordeal only emphasized the unified leadership of King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince William, a trio that now defined the monarchy's strategic direction. Public opinion reflected the shift. According to an Ipsos Mori survey, 73% of Britons supported the complete removal of Harry, Meghan, and their children from royal affiliation, while 61% favored Princess Catherine's symbolic guardianship as a stabilizing figure for future royal generations. The events of February 2026 marked not just a royal decision, but a historic realignment of power, duty, and legacy within the House of Windsor. If you made it to the end, what's your take on this royal reset? Do you think the palace went too far, or was this an act of necessary protection? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you found this breakdown fascinating, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into royal revelations and behind-the-scenes power plays.